Promise it's okay. So I started my talk could I encourage you to sit back in your seats? Okay. Relax and sit back. I'd like you to close your eyes. We're going to go for a walk. Okay, so we can sit back, take a deep breath in. Breathe out slowly. Another deep breath in. Breathe out slowly. We're going to go for a walk. It's a beautiful walk. It's a lovely walk through the countryside. There's a pathway in the countryside and we're walking on it. It's a great day. The sun is out. It's warm. It's gently caressing your skin. You hear the birds in the distance. You smell the countryside, the freshness. You feel a gentle breeze brush against your skin. You're walking along the countryside. You notice something ahead in the distance. It's a beautiful day. You're still walking through the countryside. You can see the wind gradually moving the tufts of grass. You keep walking, beautiful day, and you come across this wall. It goes all the way across and all the way up. What do you do? So if I can get you to slowly open your eyes, take a deep breath in, and turning to the person next to you, just briefly tell them where you walked and what did you do with the great big brick wall. So I'll just give you a minute for that. You can turn to the person next to you and just have a conversation. So, my guess is that you were probably strolling through some wonderful countryside. Just as a matter of interest, I can just see you. Okay. How many of you actually felt the wind brush up against you? Just a show of hands. Okay. Hardly any. Okay. How many of you felt the sun caress your skin? Okay. How many of you visualized the countryside you were walking through? Did any of you go back to where you walked before? What did you do with the brick wall? My guess is, you probably said, such a great day, let me sit up and lean against it. It's beautiful and sunny. And some of you might have said, look, I want to see what's on the other side. I'm going to bust my way through it. We'll get a helicopter and get it across there, and look at what's on the other side. Now, I don't know whether you have municipal councillors over there, but I certainly ran a workshop for, Parramatta City Council, which have the municipal councillors and the executives. And one of them actually said, look, I wonder who gave them permission to build the wall. So I'm not sure if they actually got it, but they were cracking a joke, of course. So what's this got to do with, I suppose, leadership, management, and research? Okay. So I think we need to visualize, with all our senses, okay, within the research, give ourselves permission to do that. Now, engage the triune brain. Engage the head, the heart, and the gut. Immerse yourself in your senses. The wall, of course, is a metaphor. You'll encounter it along your journey. Okay? Play with it. Dabble, have fun. Throw the bricks in the air. Color the bricks. Melt it. Use your imagination. Also, of course, lean on it. Enjoy the day and the sunshine. It's also emblematic, isn't it? Because we've got to imagine. That's a beautiful Beatles song, really. And that's a sculpture. We call it Sculptures on the Sea in Sydney. It happens annually. So we need to dig a little bit deeper, right, to look for the metaphors, the drivers, the archetypes within organizations. I'd refer to Shine's work over here. Okay, we need to, in a sense, understand the visible artifacts, as both researchers and managers and organizations. Okay, what are the symbols, the layout, the dress codes, the technology, the artwork, stuff you see around you? What are the espoused values? They're usually up on the wall. They're spoken, written, some of it articulated, some of it not. Okay, what are the rules of engagement? What are the strategic plan, the mission, the vision? Okay. All these operate in the rational domain. We need to dig, like the metaphor of the wall, and look for tacit assumptions. Okay, what are the deep stories? What are the myths? What are the legends? Who are the heroes? What are the shared values and feelings? Okay. What are the archetypes that perpetuate within this organization? And so this is definitely the domain of the non-rational, not irrational, but non-rational. So we need, I suppose, to focus both above the green line and below the green line in organizations. For research to have an impact, it needs to cover off on both. We need the artifacts, the research journey itself, but we're hoping, that you're also plumbing deeper to understand the deeper limitations within organizations, or the deeper metaphors of success, really, or the symbols. I wanted to use, this is part of my doctoral research a long time ago, the metaphor of the door to your practice. Okay. And really within this, you've got, you'll notice there's design, operate, observe, reflect, which actually make up, it's an acronym for the door. Okay. And one of the issues in organizations is that people get caught up in the DO part, the doing part. Okay. And, with limited time for observation and reflection. Many times reflection, review is compensated for reflection, and it doesn't go as deep as reflection. In your research journey, okay, there's certainly an opportunity here to go beyond the doing paradigm, to observe and reflect at your practice, to see it as an iterative journey, and in the end, to look at it as a double loop learning process. I'm going to end soon, but I just wanted to talk about, the doing part, right? So some of you ever come down to Australia, I'd personally welcome you. But, there is this amazing journey around the Indian Pacific. It goes from, of course, the Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean. Okay? And this is a train journey, one of the most remarkable train journeys that anyone can do. Okay? It goes across what we call the Nullarbor Plain. Okay? And the road, I've done the road, I haven't done the rail journey. But it's the longest stretch of railway track, approximately 478 kilometres. And the road's the longest straight road for 90 miles as well. And believe me, once you get on that road, you want to get to the other end. Okay? And it's like life itself, you're caught up, cocooned in your car, okay, safely, embalmed in the journey. You're moving from point A to point B and you want to get to point B. Okay? And I'm caught up in the doing of it. And I get to the other side quite a few hours later, and I might have missed something. Okay? So it's time to observe, get off the track, to observe, to look at the ancient tribes, along the way, some of the old settlements, some of the old towns, some of the rich archaeological sites. Okay? It's an opportunity here to observe and reflect, stepping off that road and stepping back on it again. Okay? So with your doctoral journey, I guess there's an opportunity here for you to observe and reflect, okay, and to open doorways to your practice. So if you observe and reflect, you can then design something new. You can then go and operationalize it. You can observe again, and you can reflect. Okay? And you can reflect on the content of what you're going through. You can reflect on understanding the process of what you're going through. But fundamentally, we hope you're reflecting on your own practice and how it's changed you as an individual. So that's the deep double loop part of it. So in your case, management's not a disembodied entity. Many of you are the living representation of having worked in the cut and thrust of organizations, from what I've seen in your list. Your cohort of 13 have close to 200 years of experience within a number of industries. I call on this experience and utilize the multiple perspectives and lenses this offers. The doctoral journey can be enriched through cooperation and sharing. You have this valuable opportunity to also now wear a different hat, okay? To look down at the dance floor, at the field of action from the vantage point of the balcony. So I use the term conjointly now. As a practitioner researcher, does your research move the body of work forward? Does it make a contribution to expanding our understanding of the rich landscape in which managers work in? Is it addressing a technical problem or an adaptive challenge, or both? What impact does it have on individuals and the system? And just as importantly, how have you grown as a manager, a leader, a person? I would advise you not to see your research as a distant and disconnected process, irrespective of the methodology you adopt. The observer and the experiment are intertwined. You influence and are being influenced. Adopting a non-dual perspective, Advaita, ascribed to the philosopher Shankara, allows you to see the world as a continuum and interrelated. Also, I finally commend Gandhi's prescient statement to you: be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.
I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Fernandes for sharing wonderful insights from practitioners' perspective and for sharing the factors that can make research impactful. May I now request Dr. Bhatnagar and Dr. G.L. Sharma to virtually felicitate the guest of honor with a memento and a gift. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It looks beautiful. Thank you.
We move on, and next we have a theater, Aisa Kya Hai? The system scientist at the MIT Sloan School of Management, Peter Sanjay, reminded us that small changes can bring big results, but the areas of highest leverage are often the least obvious. One such high point of leverage for carrying impactful research is the thought processes of the scholar, their emotional well-being, and the design of an institutional ecosystem that supports and nurtures the cognitive robustness and emotional vibrancy of our scholars. The route and process to achieve this is by, firstly, articulating the values of our fellow program, and secondly, and importantly, deploying these values such that these manifest in our day-to-day behaviors of all the stakeholders who associate with our FBM program. Of the many ways to deploy these values, we at LBSIM have chosen to also employ art to generate awareness, internalize, and thereafter externalize the values in our behaviors. We now present a theatre, Aisa Kya Hai, championed by the LBSIM Theatre Club, Abhivyakti, and performed by the first-year students. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy a wonderful theatrical performance for all of you. Aisa Kya Hai? So we will wait for 5 minutes so that the chairman and Mrs. Manju Shastri joins us. of a customized diary from our director, sir, and the value card. May I request scholars of batch 2023 to come and introduce themselves as I announce their names. I also request our director and chair FPM to kindly come on the dais, please. First and foremost, I would like to call upon Anand Kumar Singh.
Good evening to all of you. I thank you, LBSIM, for having me here. I'm Anand Kumar Singh, and it's like homecoming to me because I've already been part of PGDM part-time program earlier, and I completed my PGDM in 2019. So I feel equally excited to be here. Thank you, sir. So I'm presently working as a associate director with PricewaterhouseCoopers in Gurgaon, and I take care of, it's a basically techno managerial role, and I take care of transportation and logistics projects. Before that, I was with I have a short academic stint with the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun, where I worked as an assistant professor and for 4 years. And I took part in all the academic activities. So I very well basically recognize and acknowledge the kind of activities which are going here. And it definitely is more exciting for me to be part of this function today. Before that, I'm basically specialized in civil engineering. And after that, I did my master's from IIT Bombay in transportation systems engineering. So I thought that taking this transportation specialization and in further, as a part of research, high value research, I took this decision of having a PhD degree. And since I came back to Delhi from Dehradun, it was very suitable for me and very convenient for me to be part of LBSIM. I got an email from Professor Bhatnagar in the month of February, introducing me to this course of this FPM course, and I had something in my mind that I definitely will be able to. I was already accustomed to the part-time, getting a part-time degree. So working on weekends or having a class on weekend is nothing new to me, because I already been accustomed to such kind of thing. So I hope that I will be able to meet the expectations which are there with the, as such, the scholar, PhD scholar here. And I will be taking forward, and as we have seen the impactful research, I think through my efforts and through the support of the faculty here, I will be able to get through the milestones, PhD milestones. So thank you so much for having me here. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Now I would like to call upon Anand Pachauri.
Good evening, everyone. And as you already heard, I'm also Anand. So Anand, we have to decide who will be the Johnson now. I'm feeling really proud and privileged to be standing here today with such esteemed guests, honorable faculty member of this institute, the students, the future fellows, and the current or the present batch of fellows of this program. I'm working as a general manager and head of learning for Signify, formerly known as Philips Lighting. And I'm responsible for program management globally for our commercial organization, which includes sales, marketing, and digital transformation. Prior to this company, I have worked in companies in steel, oil and gas and power sector, and have had privilege of working with some of the brightest minds in the industry. And I'm really excited to bring that experience to this program. I'm a chemical engineer. I've done my master's also in chemical engineering from IIT Roorkee, and my post-graduation diploma in business management from Narsi Monjee, Mumbai. And as a certified instructional designer and lean framework practitioner, for the last 15 years of my career, I'm working in the domain of people, which is HR. As the world continues to evolve, I am increasingly interested in the intersection between the technological evolvements like artificial intelligence and the people, behavior, performance, and processes. And with this program, I'm aspiring to achieve my goal and imagination of creating models and frameworks which will help organizations and professionals to build diverse, inclusive, and equal workforce, and contribute towards the growth of our of our country. And at the end, I would like to congratulate all the fellow members or the students of this batch. And I would like to say that this is going to be an exciting journey with all of you. And special thanks to Dr. Bhatnagar for giving us such a warm welcome. This will be a memorable moment for us and a beginning of a great journey. Thank you, everyone.
Can we have Anunesh Srivastava on the dais, please?
A very good evening to one and all present here. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. I am Anunesh Srivastava, and I started my career in 2014 as a banker after completing my postgraduate diploma in management from Ford School of Management. Currently, I am working with the IndusInd Bank as a deputy vice president, and I'm taking care of their retail banking vertical for South Delhi branches. And my main interest for coming into this field of research is because I personally feel the theory which Team Abhivakti just displayed, कि भैया हमको कुछ नहीं आता है. So I think after having a career of 8 to 9 years in banking, then I think I decided to pursue my interest. Though this is an interest for a long time, but somehow I was not able to, get this opportunity. Then fortunately, I came across this beautiful institute and I interacted with Dr. Bhatnagar. And I thought, yeah, that now this is the time when I should start it. And my area of interest, area of research, I would like to do research in the field of strategic entrepreneurship. So if I talk about a strategic entrepreneurship, it's a combination or integration of two disciplines. These two disciplines are different but complementary. One is entrepreneurship and one is strategic management. So I would like to do some good contribution, some good research in this field where I will combine, I can help in combining strategic management and entrepreneurship so that both new age ventures as well as established organizations, they can, build up more sustainable business models. Once again, thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Good evening to you all.
Let's welcome Anupreet Vig.
A very good evening to all of you. Standing over here, actually, I'm feeling very blessed, humbled to join an institute which actually thinks knowledge is not just, reading books and understanding whatever. So it is a joyous experience. So About me, I started my journey. I started my career. I did my bachelor's in physiotherapy in year 2003, and then worked as a physiotherapist for a few years. Then I pursued my MPhil in hospital and health systems management from BITS Pilani. And then I moved from clinical to management side. Worked with Max Healthcare for a few years in different roles, like program manager, manager operations, deputy medical superintendent, but something was amiss somewhere. So I just left Max and pursued my passion. So I went into academics. I joined a business school over here and worked as a senior faculty, and also was working as a visiting professor for healthcare management students. In 2018, I was basically invited to join them full-time for an assistant professor for healthcare management. So currently, I'm working as an assistant professor for healthcare management students in Jesus and Mary College. And so COVID again gave me a chance to introspect and reflect. So I did my certification of coaching. So I'm a coach also. So I'm a life coach from International Coaching Federation. I basically was thinking about doing PhD for a long time, but again, I was not feeling very comfortable joining from anywhere. But when I came across LBSIM and I learned about the values and all that, so I was very keen of understanding what it is and exploring it. So I wanted to do my research on basically role of coaching and emotional intelligence on the impact the leaders can create if they are coached and they develop emotional intelligence. So that is my whole idea, and I look forward towards a joyous and learning journey ahead. So thank you very much.
Next we have on board is Gaurav Badwar.
So hi, very good evening, everyone. My name is Gaurav Badwar, and I'm working as a general manager in Times Pro, which is an edtech venture from Times of India Group. Having close to around 23 years of experience of corporate life, almost entirely into education and edtech, I got a distinct opportunity to handle education business at the various stages of education, be it K-12, higher education, vocational education, executive education, global business, university business, education, technology, and so on. And by this virtue, I was able to interact with the learners very, very closely to understand their problems, their experiences, and their concerns. I am myself a very keen learner and a strong advocate of lifelong learning. After completing my BCom honors and subsequently MBA, I kept on picking up some other course every year to keep myself upskilled. I am alumnus of long duration programs from IIM Calcutta, IIM Lucknow, and IIM Indore. Having been associated with edtech right from the early stages, I have seen three kinds of situations. One, where we know the problem and we know the solution. Second, where we know the problem, but we don't know the solution yet. And the third, where we don't know the problem in the first place. That is something like we don't know what we don't know. And as rightly said, that the future may not be the linear extension of the past, and some of the time-tested ways and means may not work going ahead. The same is applicable to the edtech, which changes very, very fast. And tomorrow we are bound to witness a very difficult, very different kind of situation and problems. And I feel by embarking this journey, I would be able to identify some of the relevant problems and solutions, make the original contributions to the existing body of knowledge, and do something which could be helpful to the learners and society as a whole. At the end, I would like to thank LBSIM and all the esteemed professors, especially Professor Bhatnagar, for considering me worth for this program. I ensure that I would make you proud. And my best wishes to all the fellow scholars. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Let's welcome Jay Tilak Majumdar.
Good evening, all. My name is Jaitilak Majumdar. I worked currently around last 23 years. Currently operating as a Senior Vice President and Chief Growth Officer for Patanjali Ayurved. I have an experience of electrical, electronics, consumer durables, telecom, and FMCG. These are the industries I work. Across industries, my area of domain was product strategy, marketing, sales, and business. So these are the areas which I've majorly worked on too. Almost around 10 odd years before I become a kind of subject matter experts for a few of the industries for the consulting organizations like McKinsey, BCG, and Bain & Company. I am their subject matter expert, class A expert for them, primarily for electrical and electronics. Additionally, I do a few of the projects which is primarily pro bono for different startups in these fields, so where I suggest them to area of growth. My passion of, I would say, or understanding is about growth. Growth is something which I believe is something which Indians at different level or Indian entrepreneurs at different level have done extremely well. However, if you look at, there are probably more than 10 lakh entrepreneurs who are working at a different size of businesses and is not ready to find out the growth. Growth was difficult probably 3 years before, 5 years before, where technology was not invading so much in the business. Right now, it has invaded so much. So being an entrepreneur, you can actually talking to next 1 lakh consumers sitting at your home, ensuring that they get to know about your product or they buy your products. Additionally, there is a bigger change which is happening around is credit, which is one of the biggest scalability issue for Indian entrepreneurs. So once this gets opened up between these two areas, which is technology and credit access, I believe my passion of work is about growing the next, create a growth playbook for 100 crore to 1,000 crore journey for organizations, which is primary into the consumer goods. This is the area which I'm looking at to work for. I was trying to do my PhD for a long time, but primarily about my job, I have changed around till date, I believe 16 odd cities till date. So couldn't do it till now and had few of the obviously personal commitments, which I am now getting free from and would be able to get committed time for this program. And I'm very honest that I have met almost 4 or 5 business schools where I've gone, got interviewed, sometimes got blessed or they have selected me, all of them. But what I liked about Mr. Bhatnagar, the way of interactions we had on the day of selections, it was pretty challenging, I would say. I mean, sometimes I felt very stressed, very differently stressed, saying that people have not asked me those questions till date. Okay. That's actually excited me, and there are a few more interactions thereafter with Mr. Bhatnagar. And yes, that's one of the interactions or, post interaction, something has charged up. And I thought that, yes, I can do the program from here. So thanks a lot, sir. And thanks all the eminent faculties, the scholars and everyone being present here. And I feel blessed really to be part of this institute. Thank you, sir.
I would now like to call upon Mayank Mehta.
I would request you all to be precise on 3 points: your background, educational, your current role, and your research interest. Honorable Dr. Sheth has already joined, and we would like him to address us at 6 p.m. Indian time. Thank you.
A very good evening to all. My name is Mayank Mehta. I have been working in HR for past 14 years odd, working in organizations like Panasonic, RJ Corp, and now in Infocom Network Private Limited. I'm heading HR there. And as you say, HR heading, this is the 29th of July and salary is time. So I've been rushing all over here and there. So far, what I've understand is that there have been many areas in HR which are not actually worked on and worked for. My research interest is very much similar to what Sir has already done in the past. And that is challenging the status quo of evaluation and assessment. Now, assessment goes back to Mahabharata or Ramayana when Acharya Drona asked Arjuna to focus and see bird's eye. That was an assessment. But right now, assessments have been primarily into monopoly of more of the organizations where we have to abide by the rules. And that is what I look forward to change in. That is my research work. That will be it from my side. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Naina Mangle.
Good evening, everyone. I am Nana, currently working as a UI designer and learning digital marketing. Since my professional life is all into digital transformation, but when it's come to my personal life, all I am seeing the impact of digital transformation. So my area of interest is the impact and the history and the pace of change in human behavior with digitization, and the major target audience for this research will be the digitots, the kids and people between the age of 14 to 18. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina. Next, we have Narendra Pal Singh.
Good evening, all. I am Narendra Sidhu. Presently, I am working at Indian Oil as a DGM Strategic Information System. I am heading a digital transformation project there. Actually, I am a computer science graduate, and I have done my executive MBA from FMS, Delhi University. My area is, of course, digital transformation, management of technology and new innovations, strategy. So, thank you.
Can we have Rishi Rajvanshi, please?
Thank you, LBSIM, for giving me this opportunity. Respected Chief Guest of Eminence, Professor Jagdish Seth, sir, Chief Guest of Honor, Dr. Eugene Fernandez, who gave a very good talk. Chairman Board of Governors, LBSIM, Shri Anil Shastriji, sir, Director LBSIM, sir, Chairperson FPM, sir, distinguished faculties at LBSIM, FPM 2022 batch, and my colleagues. I am currently working with Room to Read. It's an education not-for-profit. It's basically an NGO that works in the field of education. So my area of topic is a little different. I did my post-graduation in rural management from IRM Jaipur. And post that, I've been working for last 17 years in the world of elementary education. And the reason why I started this, when in 2005 as a student, like all of you sitting at the back, there was an annual status of education report that Pratham, which is India's one of the most renowned organization, came up with. And as a student, I volunteered for it. And when we went to the villages and did this household survey on student learning, we realized that 50% of children, standard 5, were not able to read a standard 2 text. And obviously the numbers were even more poor for mathematics and English. And for last 17 years, I have tried to work on this particular area, earlier for 12 years with Pratham and currently with Room to Read. And my area of interest is the same thing that I'm right now doing, is to understand what in a country as diverse like India, why is this so, and what are the different programs that have achieved good results. There have been good programs that have achieved good results, and I have been part of them, which have been rigorously evaluated as part of randomized control trial by MIT US Poverty Action Lab. And my focus would be to learn and contribute more. In the realm of the current new education policy, I think my research would be of interest to everybody, including Government of India. Thank you.
Before we proceed further, let me share with you that we have with us Mr. Jayant Shah, who has connected with us online. We extend our heartfelt welcome to you, sir. Next on the list is Samant Kumar Jha.
Good evening, everyone. I would take the least time I will try to take, as sir has suggested. So I am a mechanical engineering graduate. Then I did my MBA in power management and master's in financial analysis from ICFA University. So currently, actually, I have worked for 4 or 5 large corporates, starting from Tata Steel, IL&FS, PTC India Financial Services, CRISIL Ratings, and now I am with India Ratings and Research. My area of research would be related to, as we have witnessed in last 10 years, that many corporates have failed. So the corporate's failure doesn't impact only the financial market, stock markets, and the entire economy, but it also impacts the employees as well of those companies. So my area of research is related to that, and my focus, 3-point focus would be there for the research area. One would be common corporate governance issues which these companies could have, finding out that. Second would be some early warning signals that these companies might have exhibited before they actually failed. And the third would be on the impact on employees. I would just take one more minute and would give an example of corporate governance from the from Ramayana. When the Ravan was in the utmost crisis situation, and the Ram and the entire Vanar Sena had come across the sea, they were standing there. Then Ravan had called meeting of their council of ministers and asked, what should we do now? Then Tulsidas has written about that, what his ministers suggested him. That first sloka was, Jite surasur tabsram nahi, nar vanar ke hi lekhe mahi. So his ministers told him that जब आपने सुर और असुरों को भी जीत लिया और उसमें भी आपको मेहनत नहीं लगी, तो ये नर और वानर क्या करेंगे आपके? So that was the first thing. And the second sloka Tulsidas ji has written that Sachiv Vaid Guru Teen Jo, Priya Bolai Bhai As, Raj Dharm Tan Teen Kar Hoi Beghi Nas. It means that अगर आपके सचिव, वैद्य और गुरु अगर भय या किसी लोभ की आशा से आपको गलत सलाह दे रहे हैं, तो राजा हो, राज्य हो, या धर्म हो, या आपका शरीर हो, उनका नाश होना तय है. So that is how something related to corporate governance. It is entirely dependent on the team you have, whether you are running a family, a society, or a country. So the team has to be perfect. I mean, they should be in the good spirit. So suggesting you everything. That's all I want to say. All the best. Thank you so much.
I now call upon Shivalini Sharma.
Good evening, August gathering. I'm Shivalini. I have done my master's in business administration with specialization in finance and marketing. After my post-graduation, I happened to join a private sector bank and realized that banking perhaps and the private sector is not for me. I got an opportunity to join academia. My first project was with Tata Institute of Social Sciences. After that, I got an opportunity to work with Niti Aayog, which is a national think tank. I have worked on several national flagship schemes of Government of India. The crucial one being the direct benefit transformation of Government of India, which imbibe the JAM Trinity, we say, Jan Dhan Aadhaar in mobile. So I was lucky enough to be part of that core team. My second important project was National Scholarship Portal, which is a harmonization of scholarship schemes of Government of India. My posting while I was with Niti Aayog, it was with the Cabinet Secretariat. So I happened to interact with several bureaucrats, Amitabh Kant being one of them. And after that, I've worked on many other projects of government. Khelo India scheme. I've also worked with Ministry of Mines. I've developed a policy paper on national non-ferrous metal scrap recycling policy. But what caught my attention was, of course, the National Scholarship Portal. So Government of India, in the past 5-6 years, have spent more than 5,000 crores on scholarships. This is exactly my research proposal. I want to see what is the social and economic impact these scholarship programs are creating in the life of the beneficiary. So I happen to research, I'm aiming to find answers to my research problem, both at the micro level, that is at the individual beneficiary level, as well as at the macro level, whether it has resulted in, say, economic wealth creation or not. I'm very excited, little nervous, but mostly ecstatic to be here. And I really thank Dr. Bhatnagar for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I hope you have a great time. Thank you so much.
Last but not the least, we have Vinayak Sharma.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vinayak. So I'm also an alumni of LBSIM. So I joined the RK Puram campus way back, then passed out from this institute when this got built up. So how LBSM helped me, it helped me to, everything is about evolution. Everything evolves. Technology evolves, people evolves, your relationship evolves. It helped me prepare to be a better person and to face the world even betterly, because when I joined, the most good thing about this program and when I joined was, I joined in 2008 when we are moving out into the recession, coming out of recession. And here we are in 2023, still talking about top line falling, recession looms going on. So it's always good to go back to the basics and understand and take help from the experts. And of course, I've been taught by Mr. Gupta himself. So it's always a good, you always go back to the books, understand and figure out a way. And of course, share knowledge, this is what I can say. My experience has been majorly into solution architecturing, where you design solutions for the companies. Is basically what they're looking for, you match what the company has on the virtue of technology outsourcing. So this is where I come from. And my area of interest is basically marketing and also, strategic entrepreneurship. Because as a solution architect, I can say it breaks my heart when you're designing a solution that takes away people's job. You're giving them a technological replacement. So moving into a more strategic direction, plus increasing top line through the best marketing effort, would always create a balance, right, in society and gives you all kind of psychological safety, which starts with capability and your job security. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As faculty, our hearts swell with joy in welcoming the scholars of batch 2023. And as an institution, we look forward to meaningfully engage each one of them so that together we can achieve the threefold outcome of LBSIM FPM, which are carry out socially impactful research, lead to career progress, and enable joyful experiences. After listening to the research interests of our incoming scholars, it is time to switch again to art. We will introduce to you the newly composed LBSIM FPM anthem. The anthem communicates the essence of the FPM values. Going forward, we aim to compose it with music, but right now we will present to you its recital version.
जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। हम मानसिक बेड़ियां तोड़कर निर्भयता से विचार रखते हैं और सब मिलकर विचारों को बहुत सुंदर मॉडल्स में ढालते हैं। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। हमारी कल्पना हमारी तलवार है और शोध की प्रक्रिया हमारी ढाल है। हम सीखने को हमेशा तैयार हैं और आसमानों को छूना हमारी पहचान है। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। ये LBSIM का फेलो प्रोग्राम है, जहां चुन चुन कर स्कॉलर्स दिए जाते हैं, जहां नई सोच और बिंदास बोल की अहमियत है और मनोवैज्ञानिक सुरक्षा की भरपूर गारंटी है। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है।
जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। जब धर्म मिलता है शोध से तो समाज बदल के रखता है। These are very powerful words and are packed with a lot of energy that holds the potential of manifesting in impactful research. The anthem also inspires us to make constant efforts to live the aspirations expressed, such as breaking our cognitive chains that limit our expression, fearless voicing of ideas, and giving free vent to our imagination, and making use of appropriate research methodologies to make impactful research. Now comes the lifetime moment for us when we will have the privilege of listening to Dr. Jagdish Sheth. May I request the Chair FPM, Professor Bhatnagar, to set the context and introduce Dr. Sheth to all of us.
It is my proud privilege and utmost delight to introduce Professor Sheth to all. Dr. Jagdish N. Sheth is a Charles H. Kerstedt Professor of Business at the Goizita Business School, Emory University. He is a recipient of Padma Bhushan in 2020 for his ground-shaking and lifelong contribution to literature and education. He has made intellectual contributions to the field of geopolitics analysis, relationship, marketing, competitive strategy, and consumer behavior. He has more than 60 years of experience in teaching and research at the University of Southern California, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Columbia University, MIT, and Emory. He is a fellow of the Academy of International Business, the Association of Consumer Research, the American Psychological Association, and the American Marketing Association. He is a distinguished fellow of the Academy of Marketing Science and the International Engineering Consortium. He is a founder of Center for Telecommunications Management at the University of Southern California, founder and chairman of India, China, and America Institute, which analyzes the trilateral relationship and its impact on geopolitics, security, trade, and investment, and the founder and chairman of the Academy of Indian Marketing, which supports research and scholarship among Indian scholars in marketing and management. We are extremely delighted to have you address all of us at the second LBSIM FPM inaugural ceremony. We are all ears, sir, and request you to please address us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Chairman Anil Shastri, Professor Vikas Bhatnagar, with whom I've been in touch, all of the dignitaries, and especially my personal welcome to the incoming second batch of the Fellows Program in Management. What I'm most impressed is the diversity of the people who have joined the program, a very rich year experience, and the number of years of experience they bring together into the program, I just calculated quickly, is more than 200 years. Use that experience. Those perspectives that you have learned from different areas will be very valuable in your journey toward a value-based research that you are doing. So I'm strongly, I congratulate, in fact, the selection committee, but more importantly, the fellows themselves to volunteer to do this long journey that you are going to go through. This is not a 100-meter dash. This is a marathon. And in a marathon, you will need the energy. You will need the low carbohydrate pasta, as it is called. And it's very important. The only pasta you will have in this journey is, and you will feel lonely quite often, is your own passion. If you are passionate about what you are doing, you will make the journey successfully. So I just wanted to mention that I was very impressed, not only the introductions that I heard, but the background of the people they have. And some of them have already articulated the projects they're going to do, which is great. So all of you have chosen to contribute back to the society. Whatever you're doing currently, you don't feel good enough or happy enough, you would like to do something more or different. I think that passion and drive will be very valuable. And you have chosen a profession, becoming more academic, becoming an institutional person in education or back into the corporate world, but you are going to make impact on thousands of people, either employees in the company or, of course, students in the academic setting. It's probably the most noble profession you will ever do. You will not realize you have made an impact on somebody till 20, 30 years later on. He or she drops you a note, calls you up out of nowhere and say, you made a difference in my life. You have experienced that yourselves during your high school days, sometimes during your college days, and sometimes at the workplace. Somebody made a difference in your life. I'll take an analog here to emphasize this point. If you take a grain of wheat, an agricultural commodity, and make it into a loaf of bread, the finished product, the value add is only 3 times. And of course, with the wheat shortage right now, value add may be only 2 times, or none at all. If you take a rough diamond, a good diamond cutter will polish the diamond and increase the value to about 15 to 20 times. But if you take a human being, mentor, educate, polish, the value add is infinite. And the sense of meaning and happiness you'll get in your life would be very different than, let's say, just earning money or having some other material possession that all of us strive for. Society demands on us. There's always this meeting, keeping up with Joneses or keeping up with Sets or whatever they are in India, which is very fascinating. It'll give you an inner meaning in life, an inner happiness that you will never experience through any other way except to unlock the potential of others. The mission of the university or higher education is to unlock the potential of others. This journey will be tough for 2 reasons. Most of you are already working professionals, combining full-time work, which is no longer 6, 7 hours, but 8, 9, 10 hours, sometimes goes on 24/7 nowadays in the Indian environment. Raising the family, that's not easy at all. And now you have a third dimension of adding one more full-time job, which is going through the doctoral program. What is most important is family support. Make sure that your family is supporting your journey. They are your the Sherpas in the guide in many ways. It will be very important to understand because the shortage you will have would be time. Learning time management would be most important attributable gain. I did not learn time management properly. I didn't have other burdens. I was at a very young age when I started my doctoral program. And I can now relate to when we teach executive MBA students, for example, or PhD, professional PhD, as we call them, working managers who would like to do a doctorate. It's a tough journey. You have to admit that it's a tough journey. And there are three things I've learned over time that may be very valuable. One is that compartmentalize activities for this, activities for that, and do not allow transgression of one activity into the other compartment. I found that has helped me a lot. Second thing is to have what is in accounting we call the FIFO model, first in, first out. I used to wait for deadlines to review papers, to meet with my students and review their research, whatever they've done, and I would never meet the deadline. So I learned from a senior colleague myself that don't wait for the deadline, do it as you go along. And the third principle has been very valuable in my own life, and that is that there is no some such thing as perfection in any discipline, whether it's physics, whether it's engineering, whether it's math even, let alone management. And therefore, don't go for Six Sigma, but primarily have an aspiration to like a 4 Sigmas, 5 Sigmas. Satisficing is important. And since you are driven by your own motivations, your own standard will be the high standard. So long as you feel good about what you do in research and education, the better off you will be. These are just a few points, but I'll now start the real comment. First of all, I am a refugee from Burma. Before World War II, Japan was aspiring to become a military power, running over all of Southeast Asia, from China, Korea, Thailand, came to Burma where I was born, on the way to Kolkata, which was the East India British capital, which was the British Empire. Taking over that was their intention, and they were brutal. They were very good army people, and my family decided not to leave. My father had gone as a rice trading merchant. We come from a merchant community, not the educator community. He brought 2 of his brothers there, along with a cousin brother, 4 families, 1916, because at that time Burma or East India Company were at 2 capitals. The empire had become so large, Calcutta for West Asia or Middle East, and then invest in a capital called Yangon or Rangoon in my days as a brand new capital to manage East Asia. And they invited lots of Indian bureaucrats to do the paperwork, lots of accounting people, typical bureaucracy of the British Empire, the red tape as we call it, as well as in fact trading merchant community. My father believed that Almighty British will save them. He had a great faith on that. The Japanese will go over. Ultimately, my mother decided we had to leave because I had sort of teenage sisters older than me. And of course, there's a reputation of the Japanese soldiers in what they had done in Nanjing, for example, in China, what they had done in South Korea. And reputation was amplifying as they were coming, more so than anything else. So she finally put her foot down and simply said, we have to leave. Because the last ship, nothing like what you see in Syria or other places where you have refugee problems, but it was at least we had left everything behind. Shortage of electricity, there was no electricity in my days. No running water. Actually, no availability of milk, kerosene, because World War II shortages were there. We had no money, and we survived about 8 years of strong struggle. Similar to people who have gone through the partition in India, for example, or formation of Bangladesh in East Pakistan, for example. It's the same story. Interestingly, when you struggle and survive, it builds an inner character. That inner character is your compass that will drive you to do what you want to do rather than be influenced by others. Have that inner characteristic. That will be very valuable as your compass, North Compass as we call it by and large. We have, fortunately, an era of technology disrupting lots of knowledge. The knowledge of yesterday is declining very fast. Half-life of knowledge is 18 months and less in software, for example. In management, my calculation is that also it's about 18 months. I'm about 85 years old, 84, about to become 85, and I'm now learning Chat GPT. I'm learning quantum computing. I never heard those words even, let alone learn about that thing. A blockchain, for example, I've almost finished with blockchain. So what you have to do is that be a lifelong learner. You are starting a journey which has no end at all. Is the milestones that you will achieve. That is very important. More importantly, out of sheer frustration, I wrote an article recently called Business of Business is More Than Business. It always was. If you look at the Industrial Revolution, most of the corporations were established by families, entrepreneurial families, and they went to rural places, whether it was in Germany or England, where the Industrial Revolution began very big way in America. They all settled where the natural resources were there, whether it's water, for example, some industrial raw materials, agricultural raw materials, and they were part of the community. They lived there. Church was a great equalizer in Western Christian world. Every Sunday they had to go as a family, no matter how wealthy you were, there was somebody above you, God, that kept you honest. All their employees lived as neighbors. Their children played with your children. So you already knew, and your manager had access to you as an informal neighbor. Their suppliers came because you were so benevolent to them, because you knew suppliers will create more value than you can create the value. Employees, of course, were a key backbone. This is how some of the corporations began, which are now giants. IBM was not headquartered in New York. It was in Armonk, small town in New York, which is basically called now sort of a computer lab or a computer, place to go, heritage place. Schenectady, another very small town, is where General Electric began its journey. Silicon Valley is not in San Francisco. It is in a place called San Jose, which was basically an agricultural land. I can give you examples after examples from UK, Coventry, for example, which is now an industrial town, but most of the towns were small towns. Unfortunately, the next generation of family moved to bigger cities for capital raising, and because of that, they disassociated with the community. And hence we became more and more shareholder driven. Even today, some of the best corporations who are community oriented, employee oriented, or stakeholder oriented in generally are still located in small towns. I had the privilege of being an advisor to Whirlpool Corporation in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where everybody knows everybody. 400 or 500 managers, they know each other very well because they meet at celebrations like birthdays, wedding celebrations, funeral, memorial celebrations. So you are a part of the community. Kohler is a great brand of bathroom appliances, toilets, and all this stuff. In a small town called Kohler, that culture still prevails. Caterpillar is in Peoria, Illinois, very small town in the Midwest. I can go on giving you examples. So what matters is very important, that we should not be just driven by one stakeholder, which is the investor or the financial analyst representing the investor. Every company that has moved away from those original roots have suffered in the process by having a view that what matters most is the shareholder value, whereas we believe what matters most is share value. How can a company contribute not only to its own welfare, investor owners, but also communicate to the community at large in general. This is becoming very important because there is a hidden militancy by the public. Just as you have the populism movement in politics, where incumbent parties and politicians are thrown out, totally unknown people who have no political experience are elected as presidents or prime ministers of countries. We think that same movement is likely to happen to corporations unless they wake up and try to serve and balance their own needs or their own wants with the societal needs and wants. And sustainability will become a very key battleground, which is an important area along with United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's a very key area in management in general, what we call part of the CSR movement, but focus on environmental sustainability. Very important because environment is a living, breathing organism. Nature is very nurturing if you do not exploit it. We have over-harvested industrial raw materials, over-harvested waterways, over-harvested air, for example, for the sake of industrial growth, and we are paying the consequence now. The global warming has nothing to do with nature, it is man-made, conclusive evidence. Through the Industrial Revolution, because the biggest mistake in the Industrial Revolution we made was to over-harvest everything. Separate production from consumption, which means now you have to store it, you have to basically distribute it. The footprint, carbon footprint rises. Biggest carbon footprint in my data analysis shows you is at home, surprisingly. All of us have refrigerators now. All of us have automobiles now. They're putting enormous carbon footprint, as is the home, which is built with processed materials more and more. Second place is all supermarkets. Supermarkets having refrigeration systems 24/7. If you come to the Western world, you can see how big a footprint it creates by and large. So there are very interesting areas. So I would suggest, think about business of business being more than business, and you'll find enormous amount of opportunities for research, and you'll find projects. My second area is a challenge prevailing wisdom. Knowledge is changing by context much faster than ever before. So you'll have huge opportunities to challenge existing wisdom, prevailing wisdom, current theories. I know in your program, you read so many theories. Now the question is, can you have a critical view to say, is this theory relevant today? And challenging will work very well. For example, my mentor, John Howard, and I began to understand brand loyalty in the 60s, and we did not accept the economic theory of making choices. Instead, we took a position that consumers like to reduce choices rather than make choices, which immediately creates a paradigm of using learning theory as opposed to choice-making theories, which is the trade-off between positive and negative. Change the world in the process. We have theories about population ecology, competitive theories, constructive destruction, for example, or destructive construction in capitalism. But I find fascinating, most companies are not destroyed by competition, but they're destroyed by their own self-destructive habits. Most companies are unable or unwilling to change over time when the context in which ecosystem in which they grow up has changed. But they are either unwilling, which was the case of Digital Corporation. Ken Olsen never believed, he was a top scientist, that PC can do the work of a mainframe computer. And rest is history. Microsoft takes over IBM and everybody else. IBM had a problem of inability to change. The CEO himself knows that the environment is different now. We have to go from hardware-oriented mentality to software, from capital way of asking money, capital expenditure, to CapEx to OpEx, primarily utility model, etc. But he could not bring about a change. It took an outsider to come in and bring about a change, for example. And the main habit that most corporations have is denial of new realities. We have denied automobile makers, like Japanese car makers, to take the business away in America. GM, Ford, Chrysler never thought Japanese could make good cars. Germans are suffering with the same thing right now, but Lexus, for example, from Toyota in Germany. So denial of new realities is a very key problem, in addition to status quo management. So these are the new paradigms one can create very easily to show that there's a new knowledge we can create as the knowledge becomes obsolete much sooner. I have one more suggestion, and that is that try to be what I would call rigor versus relevance. You will be emphasizing more and more the rigor in the academic research, and rigor is primarily focused on three things. Can you come out with a theory based on logic that's so compelling? Can you design your study in many ways? Whether it's a literature review, for example, or an experimental study, or an empirical research, or nowadays data mining, makes no difference. But design is very important. We don't spend enough time in design. We jump to the last stage, which is analytics. On the other hand, most of the research we do in management, and unfortunately in marketing more so, is not newsworthy. No newspaper calls on you and simply say, let me talk about what research you are doing, let me distribute to the masses. But how to become newsworthy? Newsworthy basically says, take a more broader societal problems. Try to solve, because management has a skill set, a toolkit. Marketing is enormously powerful discipline. How can it be used for serving not only the shareholders and the investors and the family, but also the society at large? And there are plenty of those opportunities. Our discipline deals with two major stakeholders of human behavior, which is workers and consumption, work and consumption. And the example is basically today, business as an institution is not trusted by society, especially in more recent arena. With social media, it's being amplified even more. Sustainability is still beginning as a journey from a scholarly research viewpoint in management. Poverty is a major issue. How do you do poverty reduction, for example, using management techniques? And of course, how can we learn about the impact of digital society on human behavior? And I'm sorry, I'm belaboring the point, but I'm so obsessed about learning new things at this age. I've spent about a decade now to finish a book called The 7 Side Effects of the Internet Age or the Digital Age. In addition to the digital addiction, which is massive numbers, you can't believe these numbers even when you look at the data. But more importantly, we are more and more living like roommate family. We have no time to spend together at a dinner or lunch. We rush lunch now. Then everybody goes out in their own corner. Somebody's on WhatsApp, somebody's on YouTube, somebody is talking on the phone, somebody's watching television. So we live like roommates in a family. Family get together at meals is the most important way of value transfer of values and norms from one generation to the other. We don't have it. And in India, just like here, we are becoming more and more nucleus family. Having grandparents or grandchildren together makes no sense. They don't want to stay with you. In fact, most grandparents in India that I know basically don't want to be babysitters anymore. They think they've got the freedom after raising their children to travel and do other things. And there's always that issue about how do you transition values, especially our ancient wisdom, to the next generation is becoming a very key issue. That's just one area. There are so many other areas, in fact, about the side effects. Because internet and the digital age is like a powerful drug or a medicine. It has, like all powerful medicines, it has a side effect. That's the research area I'm doing, keeping me still very excited about what I do. And the last comment is very, I think personally very key. Try to be what I call a deep generalist. Doctor program will make you narrow. Go specialize, specialize, specialize. As you see in science, as you see in engineering, here you have to become a generalist. You know everything about every subject, but you are not an expert on them. Because the best new knowledge you can create is just connecting the dots. What is true in one part of discipline, that's in management, supply chain, may be very relevant to other parts like marketing. In terms of, for example, loyalty of a customer, the HR processes in companies where you select employees. You don't say everybody is my customer. You have our employee. You select them. You have a process. We don't select customers and we pay a price for that. Then you orient the employee to say, you are now working in this culture. Our opening hours are such and such. Here is our hierarchy. Here is our location. We never train customers to say, this is the way I operate. We are basically understanding of the employee about promotion and career planning. The HR function simply says, I need to figure out how to retain this talented person. We don't have any strategies to say, how do you create loyalty among customers? Or think about what the customer's next needs would be, essentially. We retire out with grace. Employees who worked very well, we never retire out customers with a watch in the old days that we used to give. So HR processes can be very valuable on customer journey. And marketing can teach from customer side into HR how to become an internal customers that you have and how do you manage them. Marketing is a lot of disciplines. So combining the two knowledges, connecting the dots is more powerful than anything I can think about. So again, I can go on forever because we are all professors, we love to talk and go on. But I do want to congratulate the new class. It was just exciting to have each one introduce themselves and the passion you see in them. I think that passion would be very important. If you don't have a passion, then in the doctoral program, you'll have a burnout. That burnout, unfortunately, is more problem in America in management. We find 50% of our doctoral students go in a clinical depression. And some of them never come out. Because it was something somebody else asked them to do. It is not something they want to do. And how can you have the institution and the guides and the professors can mentor you to unlock your potential? There's no excitement in the work that you do otherwise. You have that passion, which is what drives me even today. And I've been blessed to have very good doctoral students who have become lifelong friends over time, which is very, very, very satisfying. Ultimately, it's like raising good children in many ways. You take pride in them, not in who you are. Again, congratulations and welcome to the second batch of the FPM program at Lal Bahadur Shastri University. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insightful life journey. We are indeed blessed to have your presence for the second inaugural FPM ceremony and to receive your blessings in terms of few points that you provided, such as what we need to measure is not perfection, but our satisfaction and aspiration. And what we require in research is passion and rigor. I'm sure the contagious inspiration provided by you will manifest in each one of us as we act upon your ideas. May I now request Director LBSIM, Professor Gupta, and Chair FPM, Professor Bhatnagar, to virtually present a memento and gift to Professor Sheth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. With the proceeding of the inaugural ceremony nearing completion, I now request Professor Rekha Gupta, a member of the FPM Core Committee, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, I would like to propose the vote of thanks for the day. We at LBSIM would wholeheartedly thank our chairman, Shri Anil Shastri, Ms. Srimati Manju Shastri for their gracious presence. We also profusely thank Professor Jagdish Seth for being the chief guest of eminence. for the day. His acceptance and presence at the inaugural program of the second batch of the FPM program is itself a momentous occasion for us. We would like to carry forward and assure you that we as teachers, learners, and researchers would be lifelong learning, will be doing the lifelong learning and carry forward your mantra of deep journalism. We look forward, sir, to your future engagements with our institute in terms of research collaboration with our faculty and students. We would also further like to thank Dr. Eugene Fernandez, guest of honor. His 3 critical themes of organizational management on deep impact research, out of observation, reflection, and looking back would profusely be compounded by our scholars when they take on this FPM journey. We would also like to thank our director, Dr. Praveen Gupta, who encourages all of us here to take new strides and leaps. Dr. GL Sharma, faculty colleagues, FPM team, especially Dr. Vikas Rai Bhatnagar, Dr. Balram Tyagi, the core committee members, and faculty colleagues who have been engaged in selection process, the entire administrative staff, the performing students, management grid for ensuring the program goes well. It has been wonderful with all your support. We would also like to thank all the FPM scholars for joining us, and special thanks also go to the PGDM general students for being a patient audience. Thank you for all your presence, and it has been a glorious day. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we close the second inaugural ceremony of Fellow Program in Management. May I now request the scholars and invitees to proceed to L&D Center for refreshments. Thank you.